Now it's my deep pleasure to introduce another person in our list of suspects or cast of characters. Our speaker today, Brian Barry. Brian has blessed this place in Virginia Beach and many people in it for many years, since the 70s, when he was first here studying with Paul Solomon and teaching. Brian is a minister of the Fellowship of the Inner Light. He teaches Inner Light Consciousness and all the workshops and things related to that. He does readings. He has worked with troubled children and youth and shares much, oftentimes, with us about his realizations from those times. He's a father. He's a husband. He lives in Florida. And we're very fortunate to have him here this weekend. In fact, he and Sharon are just finishing up a dream workshop class that they've been teaching all week, since Friday. So I know we're in for a treat. Let's open our hearts and minds and give him a warm welcome. Thanks.
When she does that, I always feel like I can't possibly live up to it. I am so glad to be here. I know I always start the same way, but it's just really true. This place is full of light, and it's full of people that I love. And today we don't have so very many, but that's all right. And perhaps for the first time, it's occurred to me to say hello to the people who are watching this on YouTube. We have many talks on YouTube done in these Sunday services, and maybe you need to know that this is the Fellowship of the Inner Light. It was begun in 1972 by Paul Solomon, and he was the teacher of most of us in this room, and he was my teacher too. And that's been quite a while now, so I'm looking at some faces I've been looking at for almost 50 years. That's a wonderful thing in my life. It's the only place I can do that. But I'm going to stick to today's subject. It's dreams. It's a subject I know so well that I could keep you here until about Wednesday. I won't do that. I want to start at the beginning and tell you something I may never have told you before. When I was first waking up, I was teaching in what you might think of as a pagan palace. It was Yale University, and I was living in the university with my family, and I wanted to know God, and I really didn't know how to begin. So I got out my old Bible and began to read again, and one verse in the Psalms leaped out at me. He giveth to his beloved in sleep. I didn't know what a mantram was, but that became my mantram for the next year. And I repeated it every night at bedtime. And in time, I began to look with expectancy to that period of sleep, because I knew I would be taught and shaped and loved. And I was. And that still happens for me. Now, I know that to some of you, this is part of your life. And then to some of you, perhaps to those at home, you may think dreams are about individual growth, a subject that's always a little hard to get next to. And you may think that dreams are full of chaotic and grotesque symbols. And until you pray before you dream, they usually are. Dr. Freud and Dr. Jung, whose books I was reading in those years at Yale, certainly brought them into the modern world, and dreams are in the consciousness now of most of the world because of the work they did. I want to tell you, though, about another dream, and we've hearkened to him today, to one of our forebears. When Edgar Cayce was no longer young, he had a dream one night, and 3 of his personal heroes appeared in it. They were the evangelists that he admired as a boy and as a young man. And I wish I could tell you all of their names, but I do remember the name of Dr. Moody. The three evangelists came to him in his dream. They were all passed over by then, and they said, "Edgar, it's not the way we thought it was." And of course he heard that, and he grew. And in his growing expanded our understanding of the Christianity that meant everything to him. And I'm sure that that was hard for him, step by step, to admit reincarnation into his thinking. Hard for him to accept the counsel he sometimes gave people in the readings state, because sometimes it was quite at variance with the life he believed he was living. The point I want to make about that is that dreams are always unexpected. They are always pictures of your growing edge, and also pictures of the growing edge of the world, so much more than individual growth. We live in a time when the world and our leaders are, as they actually always have been, troubling. When there are wars and rumors of wars, when there's conflict, when for many of us, even in our own families, politics tend to divide us. I just want to remind us all, first, that's not where we live and breathe. We live and breathe in that which created us and is creating the world at the same time. And as Susan just noticed, I do think our part in creation is tended to by our dreams. It relates us to the larger questions, the new things, whether that's the making of peace, or the comforting of the refugees, or the conquest of disease. We're all part of that. When you pray for that orphan, that accident victim, that refugee, you're making a difference. And when you put your widow's mite in that collection cup, it comes back to you. And you get guidance from the same place that they get guidance and succor and saving grace. It comes back multiplied, manyfold. When I teach a dream workshop, I say, I don't keep a symbol journal anymore. I count instead on being lucid, that is, conscious in the dream that I am dreaming, and therefore free to dialogue with whatever appears, whether that's a person, or an image, or an event, or something I can't even begin to define. And if I am lucid, it responds to me in plain language. The mystery falls away, and I'll put it simply, I am fed by that. I'm one of those, and you are all one of those, who likes to seek answers. I'm always looking for answers. Sometimes for me, sometimes for my family, sometimes for my community. Many, many times for the children I served for 25 years as a school psychologist. But answers. And you may think, gosh, I'm tired of the same old questions. Sometimes I'm even tired of the life I've got. Well, you won't be tired of it if you see it the way your Creator sees it. It is a creation. It's ongoing. This earth is a creation. It's ongoing. We don't have all the answers. We know that about medicine and illness, and we know it about peace. We know it about harmony in our homes, our towns, and our cities. Sometimes I think we don't realize that we don't have all the answers about trees and flowers and the animals we love, the part of our lives they give to us. Not just their beauty, but their love and their voices, which we learn to hear when we love them. Also true of our dreams. Do you want to dream lucidly and get answers? The answer is so simple, I'm a little embarrassed. As you pray before bed, ask a lucid question. Ask it short, like the best prayers. Mean it. Put your heart and soul into it, and you'll dream the answer. You may not get it the first time, but it won't go away. It will keep coming back like Mark Twain's dreams that we just read about. They'll take you home. Dreams are not the only road to the consciousness of our Creator. Freud called it the royal road, and he didn't dare mention the Creator, although he knew very well that there was one. He just knew he couldn't talk about it in 19th century Europe. That's the Creator we talk to when we pray, and that's the Creator who can be the author of our dreams. We don't want the author of our dreams to be our broken hearts when things go wrong. We don't want the author of our dreams to be the lectures, the things we've read, even the books we've read. If you're touched by one of those things, ask the Creator how he or she sees it. That's one of the best prayers I know. If you're touched because someone you love is in difficulties, illness or trouble, or some kind of decline, ask to see in a dream how your Creator sees that. It always has meaning. That which troubles us has meaning. Our loved ones grow old and they pass. Sometimes they pass before they grow old. No one is immune to that. Every one of us needs comfort when that occurs. Every one of us can count on seeing them again, not just after we die, but in our prayers and meditations, and yes, in our dreams. I'm not a medium. I read the Akashic record. Sometimes in the course of that, I'm asked to be a medium, and I'm not too proud to do it in that setting. But I never seek it. And yet, as I look back over the transcripts of the some 400 readings I've done in the last 10 years, I sometimes see that for the seeker who comes, that's the most meaningful part of the reading. To know that their loved ones still live, still care, and are still involved in their lives. And they are. And that's a comfort we all can understand. It's also a message we'd like to hear clearly. We do joke sometimes about something Paul used to say, that if your Uncle Harry wasn't wise when he was alive, he's probably not wise today. Well, true and not quite true. We do go on growing after we pass. We possess, to some degree, I think every one of us does, our wholeness, our best, truest, wisest relationship with our Creator as we have known Him throughout our many lives. And in that sense, we just may be wiser. And that person who is in our family, who may have been Uncle Harry, the fool, the drunk, the one who married 5 times, may have learned his lesson, even though we can't see it looking at his life. He may have something very valuable to give now. So pray for him. Every prayer we make is an invitation to meet that person on the planes of spirit, whether they've passed or not. I haven't been a school psychologist now for 10 years. I did my time. I hear from those kids, though. I don't hear from the ones I didn't pray for. That means I mostly hear from the most troubled, because that's how I handle that job. And they make me very happy. And honestly, I spent the last 15 years in emotionally disturbed, they were called classes, in the inner city in Florida. They didn't make me happy very often in that classroom. They make me happy now. They're growing into wholeness. Even if their families are not as we would like them to be, even if they are not as we would like them to be, even if they visit me in dream from their jail cell, as they do sometimes, they're still growing. They're still walking the plan they made. And when I say we're responsible for the plans we make, I don't mean it's a yoke around our neck. I don't mean our trouble is bad karma. There is no bad karma. All karma becomes good karma when we make it whole by living it. And we do. And those kids do too. And we do too. All the kids in this room. We don't have very many short people here today, so I guess we don't have children in the kitchen today, and that's a shame. But we really are all children when we occupy a body and a personality. There's always more to know, always more to learn, and I want to say this, always ahead of you, whoever and whatever you are, many opportunities to know joy. And when you get to be my age, joy is what it's all about. My personal life, it's probably largely wrapped up. My spiritual life is more alive than it's ever been. I'm more a child than I've ever been. I'm more a child than I was when I occupied a child's body. I'm very easy to delight now. Now that I'm no longer teaching at Yale, I no longer have to quote chapter and verse from journals published by my peers. The journals published by my peers are the dreams and the lives and the meditations we share together, and I learn from every one of them. And that's the journal I quote from when I share, when I counsel, when I sit in the circle with those who are teaching and I'm the listener and the student. Everything all those people have shared with me is there for me to share in that circle. That has made my life rich. I have a rich life. I'm not fading away in a corner somewhere. Some of you know I've had 6 children. 5 of them are still in my life, and every one of them delight me almost every day. And I've met many, many people in this inner light consciousness work that I do. They delight me too, even when they have squabbles and go away. I don't stop praying for them, and I'm not angry at them, or at least I can get over it. They don't ever really leave. When they go to another church, the church they go to becomes a satellite of this church, and they take with them the light they've taken in here. The fellowship is more than an interfaith church, although it certainly is that. The fellowship is a home on earth of the ancient wisdom. The ancient wisdom has always been with mankind. We have our own unique piece of the ancient wisdom. We call it inner light consciousness. And dreams are an important part of that, but not the most important. Not as important as meditation, not as important as prayer, not nearly as important as loving one another. That's the heart of inner light consciousness. And I'm looking around the room at people I've known for 40 and 50 years, still in love with each other. What a gift that is. What a gift we are to each other. Now, the ancient wisdom doesn't come in a book. Books may point the way for you. The ancient wisdom is a stream you invite into your life. And you learn to live it as it gives you your life back, clothed in light, clothed in understanding, clothed in a wealth of experience, some of which from the outside doesn't look too pretty. It's your life, it's your gift. We talk in this fellowship often about lessons, and sometimes you can hear the overtones, oh, I don't want one right now, they're too hard. They aren't. They're only hard at the beginning. The lessons that we accept and dwell on all turn to gifts and bring joy. I think this audience knows that. I think dreams are an important part of that process. Just part, but important. So I say to you, if you haven't already, make dreams your friends. They are your friends, even the scary dreams. That which we do not recognize in our own experience initially appears as something scary. The parts of ourselves, to use that 1970s language, are all lovely. They all have gifts to give to make us whole here, now, on this earth, in the lives that we have. I have, many times, done readings for persons whose loved ones have recently passed. There's a hole in their being then, we know what that's like. And there's a terrible fear that we'll never know them again, that they don't feel the way they used to when we pray for them and think about them. So I just want to share one little bit of the ancient wisdom. When we pass, our first job is to reassemble a body of light, our completeness, our wholeness, our divine being. If we pass suddenly and abruptly, that can be difficult. If we pass in a plane crash or an auto crash. If we pass gently, smelling the flowers, hearing the dishes rattle in the kitchen, hearing the grandchildren playing in the living room, well, it's not such a long way back to reassemble that body of light. When we say yes to something that comes in a dream, we're building that body of light. It's added to us. Paul Solomon didn't say this, but I've said it enough times now in readings to say it to you face to face. A dream image is a picture of something that wants to enter your being from spirit. Once you've said yes to it, its face will change. Its energy won't change, but its energy will become part of your energy. Now that's as metaphysical as I'm going to get up here. But I am grateful to you, grateful to Paul Solomon, grateful to Edgar Cayce. When I discovered this path, it utterly changed my life, and if I was standing up here as my 26-year-old self, you'd all be yawning and looking at your watches. This is better. The me now is better. And I'm grateful to Paul and to Mr. Cayce and to the Psalmist, because they all made that happen. Thank you.